From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi.
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What's up, everybody? It is Wake Up Warchant, proudly presented by Zaxby's Indescribably Good. There's like 6 or 7 locations here around Tallahassee, as well as Douglas, Georgia, Marianna, Thomasville. Those are my favorites. Go to those if you can. If not, go to one that's close by. Go there for lunch. You'll like it. Try a salad. The black and blue salad is what I like. The Cobb salad is Corey's favorite. Again, today, Corey will not be on the program. Again, I hate doing it. It makes it sound like Corey's not working. Corey does work. A lot of these interviews were at 7 in the morning, so some of the audio quality is not as good as maybe other interviews because the 10 a.m., 11 a.m. ones, I actually went with Ira and mic'd everybody up. But I'm not going at 7 in the morning. I can't reward bad behavior. That's ridiculous. 7 in the morning to talk to a coach during spring football? Come on. What are we doing here? So Corey will be interviewing coaches and players Saturday. I think he's actually in town right now. I think we're supposed to have a meeting later today, all of us, to talk about our spring football coverage plan. So do check out warchant.com. Use the promo code WARCHANT30. Gets you 30 free days of access to the Ultimate Seminole Sports Source. And I also think we're going to probably have another promo code dropping soon for spring football. So get all your pennies saved up so that you can splurge. Treat yourself to the gift of Seminole football and Seminole information when it comes to Florida State athletics. So yesterday on the program was all Schoffel sessions. It was Chris Thompson, real good sit down, as well as Marcus Woodson, defensive backs coach. A little bit of a curveball today. It's going to be Kenny Dillingham, which I was able to interview, and then David Johnson, which was another Schoffel session. So the Dillingham thing, it was going to be a phone interview only. I guess he was on his way out of the office, so I have the technology here to actually record a phone interview. And we were going to get Corey to do it with me as well, but Corey was being a dad. He had to take his son to baseball practice, so it ended up being myself and Kenny. I think it worked out all right. If you got a problem, I don't know. Figure it out. And then after that, you'll hear the interview with David Johnson, the running backs coach, which Ira did, and I mic'd it up, so everything sounded really good. Funny story, though, which you won't hear in the David Johnson interview with Ira, was that in the middle of it, I scratched my nose, and I whipped my hand, and I knocked my headphones off my head, and I knocked the recording device into the trash can. And it was really awkward because nobody laughed, nobody said anything, nobody even flinched. Everyone just kind of stopped for a second, and then I just grabbed the recorder out of the trash bin and was like, it's all good. And they just kept talking again. So it would have been kind of cool if David Johnson would have laughed or maybe acknowledged my joke to bring some levity to the situation, but nobody did. Neither did Ira. So you won't get to hear that because I edited it so cleanly. You won't even be able to tell when it happened. I guarantee it. Anyhow, I'm going to stop talking now. We'll be back tomorrow, Renegade Express. And by we, I mean Corey and myself. So without further ado, Kenny Dillingham and myself talking about football. Coach Dillingham, obviously everybody talks about how young you are, how far you've made it in your career already. At what point in your life did you know or think that you could coordinate a Division I Power 5 offense? We all think it's easy, but was there a moment, was there a game that you were helping plan out that you thought, man, I can do this for real by myself?
I don't think for a moment like that. I mean, unfortunately for me, my entire life, from the age of when I was 7 years old, 8, 9, 10, playing Pop Warner and Little League Baseball, everybody used to tell me, oh, you're going to be a coach, you're going to be a coach, you're going to be a coach. And so I kind of was raised with everybody telling me I was going to be a coach. Now, the nice part about that is I'm a coach. The bad part about that was I was 10 years old. I was still trying to play. So I don't really think it was a moment. I just think I was my entire life, everybody told me I was going to coach. Everybody told me I was built for it. And I just think it's something that happened just through the process.
Do you think was there anything in particular about the way you carried yourself or what that made people think that you were destined to do this?
I just think the way I thought, I'm a strategic guy. I'm horrible chess player, but I enjoy playing chess. Like everything, I'm just a strategic thinker in everything I do. So I like the strategy behind things, and I've liked that since I was young. I liked trying to pick off guys at first base in baseball when I was a catcher. I was that guy trying to pick them off in Little League, right? So I was always kind of that scheme guy, regardless of what I did at a young age. So it's just something that's just how I always viewed sports, was how could me being unathletic, how could I create an advantage for myself? And that was obviously the scheme and the nuances of the games.
So you and Coach Mike Norvell, I mean, you guys have been with each other across like 3 time zones now, it seems like. So what makes things click between you and him? I mean, the trust factor, the belief in one another. Is it because you guys are so much alike, or is it because there's enough difference that you kind of help fill the gaps maybe that he doesn't see?
I think we both have the same core values. And at the end of the day, we're both relationship people. And how we build those relationships may be different because we both come from completely different backgrounds. How we coach something may be different, but how we get to the product is the same. And I think when I say how we coach something is we're gonna coach the exact same way, but we're gonna coach with a different style to say the same thing. And it was funny because we were in a meeting today with the quarterbacks. We have 30 minutes a week that we get to meet with them right now. And they're up there, and he walked into the meeting, and I was on a topic. And he started to make a comment because he's going to go in and coach every single position on our offense and on our football team. And I start saying the exact same comment he's about to say, and he just looks and smiles. And it's just one of those things that we both think about football identical. We both have the same core values in life, and how, yes, we're different people and we approach things different. At the end of the day, we both want to accomplish the same thing, and we both accomplish the same thing, just doing things a little bit differently. So it's just a really good fit for both of us.
What's one of the things you think in terms of like your background that is so different between you and he?
Well, one thing, Coach Norvell's home life when he was growing up, he'll tell the story, and you've heard the story. He didn't have a great home life growing up. I had a mom and a dad that were in my home every day. I had structure every day of my life. And so I think that's just one of the many things. He's from Dallas. I'm from Scottsdale, Arizona. He played collegiate football. I did not. So I think there's a lot of different things that go into that. But at the end of the day, it's what you make of your situation and, what you learn from it. And we both learn different things at a young age on how to attack situations. And it's who we both are today. But at the end of the day, we both have the same values, which is the unique thing about it. And I'm just fired up to be back with them.
So most everybody that's listening to this interview with you, Coach, has probably put on a suit and a tie and gotten a resume printed out and walked into an office and interviewed for a job that was really important to them. For you, the Auburn job, I mean, how does that interview happen? Do you Skype? Is it a phone call? Does Gus reach out to Mike and Mike's like, yeah, I'm cool with it? Was it at a convention? Like, how does that come about and the preparation that goes into interviewing for, your first job, I guess, away from the nest of Mike Norvell?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was a high school coach for 7 years before I got with Coach Norvell. So I worked with some other guys who's now the special teams coordinator at Cal and the old D-line coach at Arizona and a variation of people. So I had interviewed in the past for other positions. But first, with obviously Coach Malzahn, I had a guy at Auburn who I'd worked with in the past who felt like I'd be a good, guy for the position. So Coach Malzahn called Coach Norvell and said he wanted to interview me. And that conversation, I really don't know what happened in that conversation, but Coach Malzahn and then Coach Norvell, I get a call from an Auburn number and Coach Norvell at the exact same time. And I'm like, well, who's this Auburn guy? And here's Coach Norvell. So I actually took, obviously, Coach Norvell's call because that was my boss. He goes, Gus Malzahn's about to call you and wants you to come interview for the position. And I said, so that's the Auburn number that I missed the call of. So I called Coach Malzahn back, and they flew me out the next night on a flight, and interviewed for the job up there that night, and I flew back to Memphis that night, and then I got offered the job the next morning.
So, like, are you prepping in the flight? Like, are you nervous? Is it? I mean, are you asking Mike? What are some of the things that Gus likes, or is it just I'm going to be myself and let the chips fall where they fall?
The one thing I truly believe in is being myself. If I don't fit what you're trying to do, if I am not who you want, then I'm not who you want. And I think that's the one thing that I've always believed in. That's the one thing I learned being a young coach is, you're going to look at my resume and there's going to be a lot of question marks. 5 years ago, a lot of question marks. I'm 25 and, I don't have much experience. What value can I bring? What being yourself is your value. I'm not trying to be somebody else. I'm trying to be me. And I think that's the greatest part about being back with Coach is he knows exactly who I am. And I'm going to be me every single day. I'm going to bring the juice every day. I'm going to be a goofy guy every day. I'm going to be intense every day. And that's just who I am. So in terms of prepping for the interview, I don't get nervous. That's not the type of person I am. I have a lot of confidence in myself. And I have a lot of confidence because I believe in myself. I believe in the work I've put in. So I didn't bring anything. I showed up with a suit and tie on and let the chips fall where they may.
Does the juice start like? Do you take the foot off the pedal on the way home? So like when you get home, you're just Kenny and you're not Coach Dillingham.
Oh no, there's no Coach Dillingham. There's just me. There's not an on the field me and off the field me and at home me. There's none of that. It's just me. And when I will say this, if I hit the bed, I'm sleeping. And my wife doesn't like that very much because I hit the bed and she wants to watch a TV show, and I will last about 3 minutes before I am just snoring away because I'm either going or I'm stopping. There's really no in between.
Coaches' wives, man, they're a different breed. God bless them. So Coach Dillingham, you got guys like Alex Atkins in the building, Chris Thompson. These are guys that they were in the big chair before, whether it was being an offensive coordinator or a head coach. What's the dynamic been? What kind of resource are these guys for you in this program right now?
Oh, our staff is unbelievable. And the resource is knowledge. I think the greatest power is listening. And so many people, they just want to talk and they just want to teach. And at the end of the day, I want to teach. I want to learn. And having guys like Coach Thompson, who has been a head coach, been a successful head coach, the knowledge he has to teach. So I just want to sit and learn from him. In certain topics, when we talk protections, if there's a way to do it better, I want to learn. Coach Atkins is a guy who's worked in a pro-style offense. He's worked in a true triple option offense. He's worked as an offensive coordinator. He's worked as an offensive line coach. So he's a guy that, all right, well, how can we be better in the triple option game? What can we do better? Is there something that we can improve on? And I think that's the key to our staff is Coach Johnson's a guy who his ability to create relationships with people is unbelievable. And how do you do that? How do you have that ability that when 5 people meet somebody in a room, they engage in a conversation with you, not the other 4? And all you said was hello. What is the secret? Coach Dugan's, just the knowledge he has of Florida State and playing in the NFL. And so there's so many different dynamics we have on our staff that they all bring such a great value that, yes, we're learning the offense, we're teaching the offense, but at the same time, we're learning the offense, but we're building upon it. Because of the knowledge in the room, we're making it better.
So when you're like coaching an actual quarterback, you'll discuss things with the quarterback of like, hey, what are you comfortable with? What throws do you like to make? What plays do you feel, kind of comfortable with? Is it the same thing when you're the offensive coordinator and you have this staff around you? Are you asking these guys what they're comfortable with in terms of terminology or scheme, or is your job to take what Coach Norvell wants and to get everybody in line more or less?
We're going to run what we run offensively. It's adapting it around our players. And if a coach on our staff has a way to adapt it around our players that improves it, we're going to adapt it and we're going to use it. And that's why we have the staff we have, just because they all have a variation of backgrounds that can add value. And so for us, we're going to run what we run. We're going to teach it how we teach it. But if there's something we can do to make it better, because in this day and age, whether it's MapQuest or whether it's Google Maps or whether it's football, you adapt or you die. And we always want to be the guy adapting.
Coach, let's see if you have a good story for us. In terms of recruiting, your first ever in-home visit as a coach, what was that like? Did you catch a flight? Did you drive? Was it memorable?
Yes. I actually flew to New Jersey with the head coach at the time and our tight ends coach at the time, and to recruit the number one running. I've been talking to the kid as a graduate assistant. He was the number one running back in the country. And it was down to us, and it was down to another school at the time. My first in-home visit, we flew to New Jersey to in-home him in the morning. And we're on our way there, and I'm driving because I'm a GA that just got put on the road. And our head coach is in the back seat, our tight end coach is in the front seat. And I get off on the wrong exit, so I have to swerve. I almost missed our exit, so I just swerved back to get off the exit. And our head coach had coffee in his hand and spilt the coffee all over him. So we had to pull over, and coach had to change. But that was my first before the first visit, and then we got there and. But that was something for me. Is our first time on the road, first morning. I'm driving. I feel great. We're going to see the number one kid in the country, and I spill coffee all over the head coach.
Well, you can only go up from there, right?
That's right. I mean, you start low, and you can just keep climbing.
All right, Coach. We're going to do 4 downs with Dillingham. 4 real quick questions, just whatever comes to mind. Answer it, just come off the top of your head, and we'll have some fun with it. As a kid growing up in Scottsdale, who was Kenny Dillingham's childhood celebrity crush?
Oh, my God, couldn't even tell you. Cameron Diaz.
Okay, strong. What was your favorite movie growing up, or what's your favorite movie now?
Like Mike, growing up.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask you where you'd want to go on a bachelor party, but I just read your bio and found out that you're married, and you mentioned it earlier in the show, so I had to pivot and go with the favorite movie question. Coach, if you became a head coach in the NFL tomorrow, and you could get either George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, or offensive tackle Ronnie Stanley to add to your roster, who would you go with?
Christian McCaffrey.
Okay, there you go. All right, and if you had to fight in the UFC, what would be your walk-up song? What song would you walk up to get hyped?
Probably. Oh yeah, I know Coach Norvell's, but I don't know mine. I'm not a big music guy. I know that's a tough. I mean, I listen to like soft music. I know there's quick answers and questions.
Okay.
But I mean, ain't nothing but a hound dog. I mean, I don't know. I don't.
salvage this question. What would Coach Norvell's be?
To get intense music. So I'm always kind of. I don't need music to get me intense. I'd probably do complete silence just to throw everybody off.
Oh, I like it. Curveball. What would Coach Norvell's be?
Play that funky music, white boy.
Oh, geez. There we go. Kenny Dillingham, offensive coordinator of the Florida State Seminoles, joining us here on Wake Up Warchant. Coach, thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you. Have a great day.
So you go by Coach Yak.
Yes.
When did that start?
Probably second or third year at Tulane.
Okay.
Everybody started calling me Coach Yak. First, early on when I was coaching receivers, it was always yards after catch. Yeah. Switched me to running backs once I got to Tulane, so I just changed it up. Now it's yards after contact. Went back to coaching receivers at Memphis, yards after catch. So kind of going back and forth.
How much of yards after contact or catch, how much of it is physical skills and how much of it is determination and just refusing to go down?
I think it's more determination than anything. Just kind of muscle memory and kids kind of doing it over and over. The physical part, that's going to be natural for kids if they are physical players, but just a mindset. Like we always tell guys all the time, man, you catch the ball, get straight upfield. You know, and that's one thing I tell kids all the time, you know, catching the ball out the backfield, you know, CTR, catch, tuck, and run. Don't think about anything else.
Sometimes you see receivers, it's like, oh, they want to tackle me, okay, I'm going down. You know, it's just like on first contact, some guys, but it does seem like a mindset.
Yeah, and you have to kind of put that in their mindset. But again, it also comes with preparation and those guys catching balls over and over, and making sure they get enough field, even when you're not in the contact at that period. But just muscle memory, I think that's one of the biggest things.
You were a really good receiver and punt returner back in college at Nicholls State. Were you a one-cut guy, or were you shifty? What kind of player?
I think the biggest thing with me is probably not so much one cut. I was a little shifty. I think I was more crafty than anything.
Okay.
You know, I had to kind of really study the game. I really pride myself on catching balls, punts or whatever. I always kind of brag to my youngest son, Karaz, but I never dropped any balls or anything like that. So that was kind of the meat and potatoes type of receiver I was.
Just you always had great hands, or is that something you worked at?
Well, you know, I think it was something natural, and actually I was working at it, didn't realize it when you're young and just kind of catching balls and doing everything all the time. That was before all the video games, so I had to go outside. I didn't have a choice, but that was something I kind of worked on, you know, and I tell guys all the time, man, you can never catch enough balls.
You were on the staff, we talked a little bit earlier before we got on the air about you were on staff with Marcus Woodson at Millsaps. What was that experience like? I mean, did you guys ever dream at the time? Was it Division III?
Yes.
So no scholarships?
No scholarships, only need-based. First year we got there, actually I got there probably 2 months after Marcus, because I arrived after Hurricane Katrina. It was 23 of us staying in a 3-bedroom home.
Wow.
In Oxford, Mississippi. And Coach Saunders gave me the call and said, Dave, I have a job. And I said, listen, I'm going to be your receiver coach, or I'll be a GA. He said, no, you'll be over receivers. So I jumped in the car, told my wife and my son at the time, probably like 7 months. And I packed the car from Oxford and started driving. He called me an hour into the trip and said, Dave, look, man, I didn't tell you how much I was going to pay you. And I was like, look, Coach, I'm already headed that way. He said, Dave, I only could pay you $500 a month. I said, I don't care. Just give me the receivers and I'll take care of everything else. And the first 2 weeks I had to sleep in my car, because they wouldn't allow me to stay in any hotels in Jackson at the time. Everything was going on. But that was the best thing that happened to me. I mean, working with Coach Woodson, then the next year, Coach Mike DeBose took over as the head coach, and we won 3 conference championships.
Wow.
You know.
So when Katrina happened, you were coaching in high school at the time?
Yes, actually, I was a co-offensive coordinator at St. Augustine High School. Okay. We had a really good team. I mean, a really good team that year. Actually, Chad Jones, who played for LSU, he was our free safety. Charles Hawkins, who played for the Cardinals, he was one of my receivers. Really good team, and we played maybe 2 little preseason games, and we was going into the 3rd Jamboree game, and that's when they kind of evacuated the city, and we all went to Oxford, Mississippi. And ironically, my best friend, it was his first time being a college coach, was just Frank Wilson. He was coaching with Ogeron, so that's how we wound up going to Oxford. And it was so many of us family members, and that was a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, I mean, you probably would you have stayed coaching high schools? I mean, was your vision to ever get to colleges, or were you thinking I'm going to be a high school coach?
I think it was a dream, not so much a vision, to be honest with you. At that time when we were young, it's just something that we didn't think we could attain at that time.
Sure. Coaching
high school, we really enjoyed it. And I only went to coach high school. I started out in 1998. I coached for 1 year. I quit my job to go coach this one kid. My high school coach asked me to come and help him, and I quit my job, and I started working in the school system to help this one kid, Devin Lewis. He wound up playing in the NFL, and I just didn't like it. I kind of got out of it, and then Frank Wilson asked me to come back in 2002 just to help him, because he really wanted to get into college. So I went back to help him. I kind of fell in love with it. In 2002, we lost in the state championship to John Curtis, 14-16, but that year we signed 29 kids, 13 went D1.
Wow.
And I had 3,000-yard receivers, so I said, I must have some really good cone drills. I just think, but I really enjoyed it, and I fell in love with it after that, and I stayed in it ever since.
And you coached obviously some amazing players, Honey Badger, Leonard Fournette. Are those guys that, like day one, when you see them, it's like, okay, these guys are different, or what were they like?
Those 2 guys, definitely.
Yeah.
Now, obviously some other kids, you can kind of see it later on, but I tell people all the time, Tyrann Matthew is the best player I've ever seen in my life. it just wasn't close, and I understood, at that time how big he was, and he wasn't a 4-3 kid, but the kid just made plays. And when I got there, Tyron's senior year, it was the spring, and I just seen this kid make some plays, and he had never really went to camps. So when I brought him to camps, the first camp I brought him to was to Tennessee. Stayed there for 2 days. Nobody caught a ball on him. Lane Kiffin said, "Dave, we're just a little too small for this league." And I said, "Coach, I appreciate it. You being honest with me." Then I brought him to Alabama. They kind of told me the same thing. And I would teach our kids never to get mad. Allow people to be honest with you. That don't have to be your reality, but allow them to be honest. And as we can see, the rest is history.
So he was always doubted? I mean.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. At this time, like I said, I got there senior year. There was no scholarships. Wow. He had no stars. And the kid was just, when I saw him, I just couldn't believe it. And a lot of people don't understand, even before Tyrann Matthews, I had coached Craig Davis, who was the #1 draft pick, Michael Wallace, who played in the NFL, Kendrick Lewis. So I seen big-time players, never seen a kid like this, not even close. And at that time, when he was a senior, Leonard was in the 8th grade.
Wow.
So I hit the jackpot when I took over that job.
It's good coaching. But when but measurables it seems like it's such a big part of evaluations. And so when you're looking at running backs, how much do measurables matter, and how much of it is this guy is a running back?
Well, obviously you want certain things. You want longer guys. You want guys to catch the ball out the backfield. But when you see certain kids with a skill set, it is what it is. If they can run the ball, at the end of the day, they can run the ball. And a lot of times people tell you over and over, this kid he may be too small. And I asked him, what is too small for? Last time I checked, the hole opened up like this, not like this. Yeah. Nobody ever had the duck to go through the hole. So if they could play, they could play. We just want football players. That's my biggest thing, just having a really solid football player.
Is that, as a recruiting coordinator, is that kind of your guys' mentality kind of across the board in terms of, are there standards at each position, or is it?
Yeah, you
flexible?
want certain positions. You definitely have to have standards. You're talking about D-line and O-line. You're going to have longer guys, tougher guys, especially big guys in this league. But at the end of the day, you just want football players. And the way we coach and how hard we coach and what we expect from our players, and we tell guys, one thing Coach Norvell tell guys all the time, it's probably going to be the toughest thing they're going to do. So if you have kids kind of back up from that, they're probably not for us. Mm-hmm. So you have to kind of get guys with the right mindset who's going to fit into what we're doing. But at the end of the day, certain positions, you're going to have those measurables. You have to have a long tackle with long arms and different things like that, because that's going to help you out. I don't care how tough you are. If their arms are only 23 or 24, it's not going to help you out.
When you, I guess there's reports that when you were at Memphis that you didn't go to LSU, or you had some other opportunities and you stayed with Coach Norvell, and then obviously you and Coach Woodson left really good programs, and Coach Dillingham to come to Florida State to be with Coach Norvell again. How do you explain that to people? Like what draws you to working with him again?
I think the biggest thing when I started off with him at Memphis, and a lot of people don't know this, me and Coach Norvell met in 2009. It was his first year being at Tulsa. It was my first year being the head coach at St. Augustine High School. He came in, like college coaches do, they ask for players. I had a list of guys. I told him about every other kid in the city, and we had built a really good relationship. He came back to practice. The next year, he invited the entire staff to meet me. Coach Graham, Coach Chad Morris had just gotten college. He had just left high school. And after that meeting, the second time, he said, "Dave, listen, one day I'm going to be a head coach in college, and I'm going to hire you." I said, "Listen, Coach, you don't have to do anything for me. I don't want anything from you. I just want my kids to go to school for free." And the next year, I went to Tulane. I hadn't really talked to Coach Norvell. I got fired from Tulane after 4 years on a Friday. Coach Norvell got the job at Memphis on a Sunday, and he called me. He said, "Dave, I got a job. You think you want to come?" I said, "Send me the plane ticket." He said, "Dave, I didn't tell you where I was at." "It don't matter. Just send me the plane ticket." So he hired me in December. And the year before, I interviewed at LSU with Les Miles. When he hired me in December, Frank Wilson left LSU. That January, become a head coach. Les Miles called me back. But and Mike said, "Dave, I understand it's LSU." I said, "Nah, Mike, like, you gave me an opportunity, man. I had just got fired." I said, "I'm going to stay with you." I thank Coach Miles, but that was the best situation for me at that time, to kind of staying with Mike. And after being there that first year, I learned so much from him. I got a chance to learn different things on offense and how particular he was about every little thing, because he's a receiver guy. So I think it helped me out a lot being a receiver guy, and I just kind of stayed with him. I just really enjoyed it, and I learned a lot. That's my biggest thing. I think I grew as a coach on the offensive side of the ball.
He made the comment after the tour of duty workout that we watched that he evaluates himself. He evaluates the assistant coaches all the time at practice. Is that Is he come back to you guys with feedback like, hey, does he coach the coaches?
Yes.
Really?
That's one of the biggest things. He's real honest about it. He's real transparent about it. He's going to let you know. He's going to confront you when you're not doing the things you're supposed to do as a coach to kind of help the program. And you got to respect that. One day, we all dream of being head coaches, so you want to learn from people. And this is my third head coach that I worked with. I've been a first-year head coach at one time, so I understand. And I've been learning a lot, and I learned a lot from Mike.
And then how much did that high school experience help you as a coach? I mean, being a head coach, running a program?
Well, it helped me a lot, kind of understand the mindset, the kids in high school, what they're actually going through, and even the high school coaches, how they have to do everything in high school. So just because we call at a certain time, they're not sitting there waiting just for us to call and kind of understand that part of it. But I think it helped me out a lot, especially kind of running my own program at that time at St. Augustine High School. And I thought it was big. And once I got to college, it was a little different because they're saying, okay, you're only coaching this position. So you're like, well, who's going to wash the clothes? And who's going to walk the you don't have to do all that, So I think it was a good transition for myself.
Awesome. Last thing I want to ask you, I'm sure you get hit up with travel advice to New Orleans, tourist advice. What do you tell people if they're going for the first time? What are some of your tips for tourists coming to New Orleans?
My biggest thing, you want to take the baggage and carriage ride around the French Quarter to kind of get that tour and what New Orleans really means. You want to eat at Lil Dizzy's. Okay. It's a really good restaurant. And the people are just really good people. Mm-hmm. I tell guys all the time, just kind of walk through the quarters and do certain things and get a chance to talk to the real people in New Orleans. And I just think you're going to enjoy it. It's a place that, always having fun and never sleeps.
My wife and I had our 20th anniversary there a couple months ago, so I wish you had been here earlier. I could have got you some extra advice for you. Well, I appreciate your time, Coach. Thanks a lot.
All right, thank you.
Zaxby's Caribbean Jerk Chicken is just like a vacation in the tropics, only without the sunburn, or the dive-bombing seagulls, or all of that pesky sand.
How'd it get in there?
Well, at least it tastes like the tropics. Enjoy our famous chicken tossed in a tropical blend of spicy habanero, fruity mango, and exotic island spices. The Caribbean Jerk boneless wings and the new filet sandwich meal. 2 more reasons you'll get a kick out of Zaxby's.